Hey guys, this is Justin Gaynor from Gentleman's Purpose e-magazine. Welcome to Gentleman's Purpose Live Saturday night. It's 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, and we welcome you to the show tonight. We are going to be talking about the entrepreneurial spirit and what it's like to launch a new business, particularly speaking here in South Florida. And I have with me here Ray, who is from American Innovative T-shirts. Printing. Can I introduce your wife, because she's a little pretty. She's much more beautiful than you.
Right.
So I'm going to introduce Claudia here. She couldn't be with us tonight. You want to tell them why she couldn't be here tonight?
She needed to fly away for emergency thing.
Yeah, all the way to New Hampshire. But this is Claudia, American Innovative Printing. They print T-shirts digitally printed. And they just do a great job. They do all my work for me, and I've been really happy with it. So I want to introduce you to them. You will see them in the pages of Gentleman's Purpose e-magazine, and that can be found on issue.com. That's issuu.com/Gentleman's Purpose. I'm going to go ahead and put that across the bottom of the screen there so you can catch that there. And we're going to say bye to Claudia for a little while. Maybe she can join us next time. But for now, here we are with this. So Ray, talk to me a little bit about how you ended up getting into, like, what was the first business that you ever started that was your own business?
Oh, what was my first business? That was back in Finland.
In Finland. So you're from Finland, okay?
Yeah.
They didn't know that. Now they do. So what kind of business were you in Finland?
I was surprise printing T-shirts.
Really? So you've been in this business for a while then?
Yeah. Then I took a 25-year break.
Okay.
But I was printing T-shirts, selling little pins with customers' names, making signs. Joe Trapani is not the only sign maker.
He's talking about our pastor, Joe Trapani. He is Italian-American war veteran. He was in Vietnam, and but after the war, he launched a very, very fruitful sign-making business, and is extremely artistic and does a fantastic job with that. But you were a sign painter too.
Yeah, well, not a painter per se, but doing a vinyl.
Oh, okay. All right. So you did a lot of work with the graphics like Photoshop and some of the different.
I believe back in that day, Photoshop wasn't existing yet.
Oh, I'm a young whippersnapper, So the entrepreneurial spirit is something that's really important to me because I attended Northwood University in West Palm Beach, and that was basically the whole driving force behind their mission vision, was to develop this entrepreneurial spirit within their students. And so that really didn't take hold in my life until really recently, because I worked for big corporations most of my life after college, even though my mom, she started businesses, and I always worked in a family business growing up. But the idea in America that we have the freedom and the ability to come up with an idea, and then to take that idea and to actually see it come to fruition and produce a really solid income from it. And I think that overall, between the way we do government and everything, they've tried to keep the barriers to entry for people to be able to launch their own business pretty low comparatively to other nations, right?
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, I mean, what was the difference in starting a T-shirt company here in the United States versus going through the process in Finland?
Oh, now we talk about quite a few years back, and
Okay.
I cannot remember, but I think it wasn't that bad.
Okay, all right. Well, I appreciate your candor, absolutely. So the entrepreneurial spirit is something, like I said, that it's important to me. At Gentleman's Purpose, our goal is to help men to identify what their calling or their purpose in life is, and then and sometimes that requires exploring different things and kind of kicking the tires and seeing if that's something that is really for you or not. And so once we help one of our brothers identify what their purpose is, what we want to do then is help them to fulfill that purpose while keeping a balanced life. In America, we have such a tendency to go to one extreme or another. Typically, do you find that to be true?
Yes,
Okay.
look at our politics.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, as most of you know, if you've ever watched the show before, I personally come at business and life through and unapologetically through a Christian worldview, Christian lens, or as they would call it. C.S. Lewis that said that, right? He said something like, Christianity isn't what you see; it's the lens through which you see everything. And so whether it's business or personal or whatever it is, everything kind of gets viewed and kind of processed through the lens of the discipleship in Christ that I've received. And I think that's true of Ray as well, correct?
It is nowadays.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about that. Tell me, like, did you grow up as a Christian or?
Well, in Finland, everybody's Lutheran.
Okay. So you said something like it's like the state religion is Lutheranism in
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Like a lot of European countries.
Really?
Germany,
I think Luther would roll over in his grave if he knew his religion was a state religion. But I actually worshipped with the Lutherans up in North Carolina for about 3 years, which was a huge culture shock for me. There are so many different flavors of Christianity, but I tell you, I had a wonderful, wonderful experience. And so it was really cool, actually. And so when I launched Gentleman's Purpose, it initially started as the idea of doing a marketing company, and I bought the web address, and it kind of just sat dormant for a while. And I actually owned that before I launched General Media Consulting Company, which is the parent company or the umbrella over Gentleman's Purpose. And at General Media Consulting, what we do is when someone has an entrepreneurial spirit or is beginning to kind of nourish an entrepreneurial spirit, we help them come alongside them and take them through a 7-step process in building and developing their business as consultants. We start by helping them walk through some of the very difficult questions, because a lot of times when someone gets an idea, they just kind of, this is my idea, what do I need to do it? And they kind of jump right in without thinking through a lot of the things along the way.
Been there, done that.
I can't even tell you the statistics, the number of people that do that. But in America, about half the businesses that are started in America are out of business within 5 years. And a big part of that, I think, has to do with not thinking things through ahead of time and seeing where they are financially and what kind of contingent plans they might have. So we take them through the planning process, basically put them in a situation where they have to answer the very difficult questions, so that when they run into these things in real life, they've already thought it through and they already know how to respond. And so that's the great thing about the planning process. It also helps everybody who's going to be involved with the company kind of get on the same page when you've kind of articulated everything clearly for everybody. Not to mention, a business plan is required in most instances to obtain any kind of financing from a banking institution or an angel investor or something like that. So take them through that process, and part of that process is deciding what kind of legal entity would be the best for them for their business, whether it's an LLC or a C corp or an S corp. And then I have connections with various tax accountants and things like that will help them to set those things up and make sure that all their taxes get paid to who they're supposed to get paid for, when they're supposed to get paid. And also, as my friend Harold Blocher, a CPA over in Lake Worth, likes to say, that they can pay as little tax as legally possible, which is a good thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, because then we can use our own money for growing the business and other things. So the planning process is important, but then we take that and make sure that they're set up legally, and then we go ahead and basically begin to build what you and I worked on recently, the web presence, the website.
Mm-hmm.
And tell me a little bit about your website. How has your website for AmericanInnovative.org, how has that kind of helped your business?
Well, it haven't helped me yet, but since it's been built now wonderfully by this American, General Media Corporation.
Now,
now it looks like a real website, and people most likely have better experience and opportunity there purchase our products because we don't just print shirts
Mhm.
for people order. We make our own lines,
Mhm.
and we got our fake line, and my wife has a line for identity secured.
And
which
that's
is,
what this is, yeah?
this is for our very first design,
Very good.
and it's fitting because I'm here, she's there, and
All right. So, before General Media Consulting came in and kind of worked with your website, what you had a website prior to that? It just wasn't being super fruitful.
no, it was just that we are there, and that's it.
Okay. And a lot of people do that with their web presence is they'll build a website because they know that they should and they need to have a web presence, but they don't think through the user experience. They don't think through how it's placing on Google with something called SEO or search engine optimization. And so that's kind of what we do at General Media Consulting. We take the user experience into account and we think through, how to build this thing graphically so that it's actually pleasing to the eye, but it's clear, it's concise, it's compelling. It says, this is who we are, this is what we do, this is how you can buy our product. It makes it super simple for people to actually just buy what they're looking for without having to expend too much brain power to figure out how to do it, right? And so now when you land at your website, you have a form that you can complete and order the shirts or get a custom quote directly without having to. By the time they have to interact with you, kind of on the phone, you already have their JPEG files or PNG files for their shirts, so you know what the image is going to be. You know how many shirts they want, the color, the size, and all that sort of stuff. So by the time you call them for customer service, you're just going to be able to give them an honest, fair quote, and hopefully get some business and give them some great shirts for a great price.
That is correct.
Awesome. So that's one of the projects that we just recently finished up working on. So super happy to be able to work with these guys on that. And so from that point in time at General Media Consulting in developing a business, I always think of your website as it's like your storefront in kind of like Cyberland, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then your sales force, where you're connecting with people and networking with people and interacting with people, that's all your social media. So we help companies to kind of identify what their target market is, and then to utilize the organic growth that's available in their existing network through social media platforms, and then to grow that network. And then also we can kind of supercharge that by adding in some paid advertising, which can usually kind of shoot you to the top on Google when someone searches for digital shirts or whatever business that you happen to be in. So we have our digital storefront, then we have our digital sales force out there in social media land, kind of connecting and driving traffic to the phone number and to the website. And so from there, we lead people to the next step, and that's where we talk about taking that funnel that started, with the point of sale being at the website or the phone number, and kind of expanded it into the sales force and taking that to the next level using traditional media, which would include things like magazine print ads. It would include radio advertisements. It would include television advertisements. Essentially, what you're doing is you're opening the mouth of that funnel wider and wider so that the awareness of your company broadens. And basically, it's a numbers game. I used to be in the stock market, and if you make, I wasn't in the full service stock market, but as a stockbroker, if I make 100 calls every day and I operate at a certain level of performance, then I know that I'm going to have maybe 50 callbacks, and of those callbacks, 25 might set up a meeting, and of those, I might actually get 8 accounts to transfer. So it's a numbers game. Same thing with marketing with regard to expanding from the website all the way up to something as broad as television. From there, as a company grows, we stay on board. We can work with the company on an ongoing basis, on a retainer basis, or they can just call us when they need us. But we really want to help people to develop companies that are going to last a long time. And the way that happens is by bringing in people who are the best at what they do in your industry, attracting the best talent, retaining the best talent. And the way that happens is that you have performance development programs in place You have onboarding systems in place so that when someone is interviewed with you, they can think to themselves, this is the kind of place that where I want to work and basically have a career, because I'm bringing a lot to the table and they're going to pay me well comparatively. And also I can see that they have a track that's very clear for me for my professional development. Unfortunately, in America today, people are typically change jobs every 3 to 5 years. And I don't think that number is going up. I think it's probably going the other direction. Me personally, I worked for Scottrade Financial Services for 14 years. And in many circles, that's not heard of, but we had an awesome HR team who treated us really well and invested a lot in us. So we always felt we were actually upwardly mobile in our careers, even if we were working in the same position, because we had learning opportunities and different things like that. And so those are the types of things that we want to bring into businesses, and develop the culture of one that basically stays, right? And so, and then finally, we look at branding. That's kind of what you do, right? Branding with the pins and everything like that. I was actually just talking with a gal named Sharon, and she's been in branding for many, many years. We had a great conversation after a networking event the other day. We did a little Zoom thing, and she has, you remember the thing in Lake Worth, the little networking group?
Mm-hmm.
So she was part of that. Harold's been kind of doing it on Zoom for a while now. And so I'd never met her before, and so we connected, and we had a one-on-one meeting, and this lady is brilliant. And if you listen to Don Miller will basically tell you that marketing is like the rocket ship, and branding is like the satellite. The satellite's not going to get up into orbit and be able to kind of transmit what it's transmitting, how people should feel about your company or how you want them to feel about your company, unless marketing gets them there. Unless you've been clearly telling people for a long time, this is what we do, this is why you should buy from us, and they know that. It's clear and it's just straightforward. And once you get into branding, it's about how people feel about doing business with you and your company. And as I was listening to this lady, she shared a story with me where she got an account. I think it was like TGI Fridays or one of the major restaurants. And so she said, so do you guys want to advertise your business? Do you want to brand your business in McDonald's and Wendy's? Of course, they're like, what are you talking about? Like, we're TGI Fridays. How are we going to market our restaurant and their restaurant? She says, this is what you do. I've got a baby bib, and we can put your logo on it and put it on your shelf and charge people $5.99 for it. But every time a mom comes in with a baby, give them the baby bib. What's the mom going to do? The mom's going to use the baby bib. It's better than having one of the plastic ones. She's going to take it home. She's going to wash it. She's going to put it in a diaper bag. And every restaurant she goes, she's going to have that little bib. And you're going to be advertising all over the place at every restaurant. Brilliant, right? And so it's just super, super cool. And so, so let me take this off here real quick. We're going to lose the banner. All right, so you get to America. When did you arrive in America?
1992, I think.
92. I was only 12 years old. A young whippersnapper. So you get to America and you decide, did you immediately go into business for yourself, or did you work for a company or anything?
No, I started, guess what?
What?
Printing t-shirts.
My man. All right, very good. And so, and that was here in Florida?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when you arrived here from Finland, you had a lot of experience. You were already in the t-shirt business, and so you were just essentially had to figure out, how do I do what I did there here?
Right.
So what was that process like?
Painful.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to, because got no money, so you gotta make everything yourself. So I ended up making everything I needed for printing myself out of the pretty much wood and nails.
Really?
And vacuums.
Okay. So you're pretty stoked when they came out with digital printing.
Oh yeah.
How old is that technology?
Okay. Let's go back. You know, it was this. You know, you do it with your hands and
like a silk screen.
Right.
Okay.
And then I departed from it for 25 years. But then I started looking into it. I think t-shirt printing must be been evolving since my days.
Right, and it really did.
And then I noticed that nowadays you just pretty much put the shirt in a printer and press the button, it sucks the shirt in and prints it and spits it out.
Right.
No more messing around with the paint thinners and paints and smelly paints and all that stuff. So I was excited about it, and then I was thinking about it for a couple of years.
Okay. All right. And with the technology advancing like that, is the quality like as good as it was before? Like somebody who, you know how they always say they don't make them like they used to.
Mm-hmm.
So the quality is pretty much on par.
Well, the screen printing is still the best way to print the shirt, but
why is that?
It's probably because the ink.
Okay, kind of soaks in a little
better. And but it's very limited. You are pretty much 1-2 colors. You still maybe do it, but if somebody wants the 6-7 colors, your head will explode. I said I cannot do that.
All right.
Because the machinery is not designed for that.
Okay. So we recently actually issued a challenge from Gentleman's Purpose to the men out there to add an additional stream of income to their monthly income, and to do that by thinking about what they're passionate about and start a side gig, like a company on the side, to make some extra money. Don't have to go full time with it right off the bat, but I had Jay Buchanan here last weekend. And he shared with us that the average millionaire in America has 7 streams of income, 7 businesses that are bringing income. Now, some of that might include like an investment account, but they basically have 7 streams of income that are bringing monies into their coffers, if you will. And so the challenge that we issue to the gentleman is to think through what it might be like to add something that you're passionate about as a way and monetize it and basically as a way to make more money, and then to think through how they want to spend that money, pay off debt, or build a savings account, or plan for retirement, or maybe they want to participate in some charitable events and maybe get involved with their community financially. So that challenge is a 30-day challenge that's out there for the gentleman to be thinking of. And so when you actually thought about getting back into doing t-shirts and decided to make the leap, then what walk me through the process of launching a business. Like, where do you even start?
Well, where you start, I always start small.
Okay.
That's always been my motto. That whatever, if you start the business, start what you can afford, and and build on that one little while. Because 25 years I was running a limousine business. I started with the one car, and then when my business grew, I added the cars and started hiring the drivers. And but I always wanted to make sure that I got the resources to the next step.
Right.
So and when I took the next step, I stayed on that step until I was confident that if I'm purchasing more equipment, I have a workforce.
Okay. So, but as far as starting a business, I mean, do you typically you would need to contact the state of Florida in some way, shape, or form and set up a name for the business?
You're going in a nitty-gritty.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people don't know, they've never done this before, and so of course you have resources available to you, like the Small Business Administration, which is a great resource. But when you basically decide, without writing a business plan, you just essentially did you go to a certain agency that helped you to start the business and get everything in order for the state stuff?
No, everything, do it by yourself. Just go and find information and do it. That's always been my motto.
Okay.
Because I've been seeing a lot of these people. Oh, I am going to start my own business.
Right.
And, listen, my friend, it's gonna be great.
Okay.
And I'm gonna be a millionaire in no time. And they start spending money left and right everywhere, and and the business is not going nowhere. And
right.
They ended up being in a lot of debt and no business.
Yeah. And that's why planning for the business is good.
Correct.
And also from a Christian standpoint, praying that God would have favor on your business, and also that that the friends that you have would be actually intentional and prayerful for you, that you would be able to flourish in the business that you're passionate about, right?
Absolutely.
Because we all know that not everybody's on your side, right? Not everybody's your friend, but a lot of people, hopefully the people that you talk to and things like that, they want your business to succeed, so they're praying for your success in business, right?
Right.
Okay. And so tell me, when you actually heard the gospel and became a Christian, that was something recent?
That was about 7 years ago, I would say. I think, yes.
Okay. And then how long after that did you meet Claudia?
No, that was before.
You met Claudia before you got saved?
Correct.
Okay. And so you guys came to a place of having a relationship with the Lord Jesus, and because you kind of grew up in the Lutheran church. But when did you know that you knew that you were a child of God?
I cannot put
like a date on it.
Yeah, date on it, but I can say about 7 years ago when I started understanding things, I started, studying things,
Okay.
understanding things.
Very cool. And I know that you and Claudia, it's amazing to see the teamwork that goes on between the two of you, because I think that you guys are very equally yoked, and that you both have a passion for God's word and a passion for learning more and growing in the grace and knowledge of the Lord Jesus. And that's so encouraging to me, to see that mutual yoking and that mutual passion, which is really cool to see. So I was encouraged. These guys had me over for dinner last night, and we had a little Bible study and everything like that. And it was a really, really cool night. So I appreciate that, by the way. And so moving on though, so you said something about a limo business. Where did that come from? How did you get into a limo business? Was that your own business?
Well, I found it that my piece of printing with no money was very hard and cumbersome, and so I was like, this is not the way to go right now.
Okay.
So there was this new thing. This was, I don't remember when this was, back in the 90s, some point. West Palm Beach. West Palm Beach Airport did not have nothing but taxis there, so they wanted to bring like a black car service there, and they were looking for drivers.
Right.
So I jumped in.
Okay.
And I tried for a year, and then I was like, I can do this my own.
Nice.
So in that year, I built so many, relationships and customers that I just bought my own car and started doing my own.
Okay. A lot of people do that. I mean, they learn how to do something, and they're like, you know what? I'm making X amount of money per year or per hour to do this, and my skill set is there, and I live in America. I have the opportunity to learn to do this. Now, as long as you're what do you call it, ethical about it, you don't want to kind of take off and steal a bunch of their business or something like that.
No, they were actually encouraging that, every people you encounter, consider them as your own people. So.
Oh, okay. So they really encouraged you in the business. That's really cool. Now, so you got into the limo business, driving, which nowadays there's Uber and those sorts of things. But you drove for some classy people, because you had.
Hey, we were talking about the ultra wealthy people.
Right. So you had so you would basically be working for some of the premier neighborhoods and stuff like that in Palm Beach County and stuff.
Correct.
Now when you and Claudia got married, it was kind of like this whole kind of being on call all the time for these folks who would, they pay you a lot of money to drive them around, but unfortunately there could be very odd hours where they need to catch a flight or this or that. And so that became kind of a conflict
Actually, it wasn't. I wasn't driving no more, but my phone kept ringing. All the wee times of the night. So my wife kind of like got fed up for it.
So again, here's a situation where we make professional decisions based on how they're affecting our overall life and keeping our balance in all things. When you were single, it was a non-issue.
No, yes.
But now that you're married, it's a matter of, okay, we need to kind of adjust some things and and make sure that everybody stays on the same page, because that way, that whole thing that I talked about with you guys being on the same page with studying scripture and everything, that shalom or that peace continues to happen within your household, which is super, super cool. And that actually happened to me for a while. You know, I didn't grow up in church at all, and neither did Robin. And when we got saved, when I was 25 years old, she actually at that time was working in the hotel industry, and that included meeting with men from like FAU and sports teams and everything like that in order to sell rooms and get people to basically come and give business to the hotel, rent meeting space and all that sort of stuff. And she just felt convicted in her heart that she didn't want to be out meeting with these men, you know, alone when she has a husband and children at home. And so she told me that, and she ended up, you know, it was kind of like, for me, it was like, what's the big deal? And then she's like, so she ended up staying home with the kids for 2 years. Our second child, we couldn't afford to do that with our first child, but she did the stay-at-home mom thing with the kids once our second son was born, Aiden. And that was an amazing time. I was a little kind of iffy about it at first. You know, you're used to having a certain amount of household income, and to have your income like reduced by that much was a challenge, but it was worth it. It's like I always said, you're never going to look back on your life and say, oh, I'm so sorry I didn't work a 9 to 5 instead of spending time with my kids during that time. But yeah, so with regard to the limo service, you went ahead and you sold that business.
I did.
Now, was that a pretty lucrative business? You made good money doing that.
I did. Yes.
You did. And you just had one car, or how many cars did you have?
It varies, but you know, I was talking about like 10 cars, different cars, vans, stretch limos, regular cars.
Okay.
Then a 911 came a picture, and you know,
Right.
business went down like 80-90%.
Right.
So you know, then in that point, you know, we started buying the businesses what were going under because nobody could make it anymore. So that's how we made it. We bought other businesses and got a little bit customers with them, and you know,
Right.
we were able to continue. And then business started slowly picking up again, and then Uber came in, and completely, you know.
Now, does Uber or Lyft, do they have like a high end level version of their service?
Yeah, I suppose they do, but I'm not very familiar with it.
If not, and you're an entrepreneur and you're thinking about doing that side business, an Uber or Lyft style business that focuses on the higher end and can pick up a nice limo, that might be a good place to start. Right. And I mean, obviously, you have some clients that are being serviced now by the person who bought your business.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
And so you'd be competing with them, but it's an opportunity, right? And so that's pretty cool. So now you're really focusing on the t-shirt printing business. You guys operate in the state of Florida, and you operate also in New Hampshire.
Correct.
And you guys are actually, you've made the decision to move to New Hampshire. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're still going to be doing the t-shirt thing here and kind of shipping
and until we move back.
Yeah, because you're going to be a snowbird. That's
yeah.
Right. All right. Very cool. Very cool. So you got to sell a lot. He's got to sell a lot of t-shirts. So if you were part of a church, or you're part of a business or a youth group or whatever you do, and you need t-shirts, AmericanInnovative.org. Order your t-shirts online. How much does like a normal large or extra large t-shirt with a little emblem here and a thing on the back cost?
Oh, if we are just talking about the chest print for a white t-shirt, that goes out the door $6.99.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's very reasonable.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay. So you can't buy a t-shirt. Yeah. I was at Target yesterday or something, and their printed t-shirts on the shelf are like a lot more expensive than that.
Yeah, but this chest print is what you want.
Yeah.
You cannot get that in Target.
Yeah. So buy your t-shirts from AmericanInnovative.org, and I think I'll talk to my friend who does branding, because she has to buy her t-shirts from somebody, and maybe you can be competitive with whoever she's using right now. Yeah. Yeah. So that's a possibility, and then so now that you're in, talk to me about, how has this whole COVID-19 and everything, how has that impacted your business? And did you have to shift some things around, or, I love to use the word pivot. Did you have to pivot at all in order to be able to kind of sustain yourself with this business?
Well, our business is awfully slow because when people are worrying about the other things, unfortunately, they are not worrying about the t-shirts.
Right. And they're not
But
doing events, right?
yes, everything is canceled. All the events, 5Ks, you know. So it is making it a little bit more tougher. But what they say: what does not kill you makes you stronger.
That's what they say. That's true. That's true. And so since that's happened, your business has slowed down a little, and so again, if you need T-shirts, please connect with Ray and have him and Claudia make you some really nice T-shirts at a great price. And so any plans to? I mean, did you do anything extra to maybe find business in the midst of that in order to grow?
Yeah, I am. I'm a strong believer. Because I'm a little older than you, not much, but little.
Yeah.
And they are the old-fashioned advertisement, letters and postcards.
Okay.
And we got those things going out of their door every day.
Okay, that's good. And so do you when you're building your business, you basically try and connect people using postcards, and that's been helpful. Do you use what they call EDDM?
No,
The post office?
I haven't gone there yet because we do a very targeted marketing. So
Okay,
so that is kind of like a blanket,
okay, yeah, it kind of blankets a whole area. All right, well that's
which is not necessarily a bad idea. But
yeah, I mean, it's definitely a good service. You have to be super precise and specific, though. You have to make sure that you read everything on the U.S. Postal Service website. Have them check it out and everything before you actually drop the stuff off, and maybe show them a sample or something. Because even one of the companies that one of my other clients, they had an employee who basically went back and forth several times in order to get it to work, and I ran into the same problem with another client also. The first client, that's the first time I'd ever even heard of EDDM. Now there are some companies that will do the whole process for you. It's a little more expensive, but so that's one form of marketing that can be done, or branding, where you can connect with people. Do you do handwritten letters, or you just send follow-up letters with people, or?
yeah, we do hand sign letters. But
Okay, very good, very good. We used to do that at Scott Trade also. I remember being an intern. That personal touch when people receive a letter and you've actually signed that letter and they receive it in the mail, and it's not trying to really sell them anything. It's just saying, hey, we really appreciate your business. If you have any questions, here's our contact information, and and you might throw a coupon in there or something like that for a certain amount off on the next T-shirt or something. All right. Like, do you guys do promotions and stuff? At $6.99, it's already cheap.
Yeah.
So yeah. Let's see. So just I guess if you had to give advice to one of the gentlemen who reads Gentleman's Purpose e-magazine, and you had to give them maybe 3 tips on launching their own business, what would you say to them? This is your chance.
I would say that dream big, but start small. If you are, for example, want to buy a bicycle to deliver in the newspapers, this is just an example. Just get the bicycle. If you have to, with the payments, and secure that first newspaper route and start doing it. And when you secure the more routes, buy more bicycles and put people on them. That is in my business model always. Dream big, start small.
Dream big, start small. Okay. And any other thoughts or anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, and I'm not a big fan of borrowing a huge amount of money to starting a business. That's why I say that dream big, start small. If you got a setbacks, they are not that great.
Yeah, I mean, the people who had a good cash position going into this whole COVID thing, they fared a lot better than the people who had a bunch of debt.
Yeah, because right now, if you're a business with a bunch of debt, have no way to pay.
Right. We had.
Plus, it's a Christian principle.
Yeah.
Have as little debt as you possibly can.
All the scriptures tell us, wisdom literature actually says that the borrower is slave to the lender. So if you can grow your business organically, that is by far the best way to go about things. And then you end up being the lender rather than the borrower, and that's a good thing. And so how have you heard of something called financial peace? The Total Money Makeover, Dave Ramsey?
No.
No? Well, there's a book called Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey, and he has this whole process that he takes people through to basically get their debt paid off and to essentially begin to build wealth. And a lot of people have used it. He's a New York Times bestseller. So if you're thinking about getting your financial house in order, that might be a good place to start. With a financial, getting an idea of how that you can do this and that it is actually possible. And then, of course, we spoke last week with Jay Buchanan. And you can contact him and talk to him about actually putting together a free financial plan with his wife Jackie. They're with Primerica. And so yeah, those are some great opportunities there. I also have my friend Brandy, who's with a financial firm down in Boca. Maybe I'll have them on the show one time as well. But getting your finances in order is important. Speaking directly to the church, now I would say that if it's true that the church is the prophetic family of God, then that means that the way we live our lives and the responsibility that we take in stewarding our funds, if we are keeping ourselves debt free, then we're essentially driving the car, if you will, and that's going to be good for the whole nation because we'll be setting the example in that, right?
And when you do things right and you work hard and trust God, you cannot fail.
That's true. That's absolutely true. Because love never fails, right?
That's correct.
Amen. So we're at 12 minutes after 9. We've been going for about 45 minutes now. Do you have anything else you want to share with the folks who are tuned in tonight? I was hoping to have a few more guests tonight, but we didn't have anybody chime in. So anything else? Any closing thoughts?
Well, what has it come to the COVID-19? It's a lot of people. It's a very desperate times.
Yeah.
But I think that if you just like I said, you work hard, put your faith in God, and you get through it.
Okay.
And I have a vision in my mind that everything is just going to be fine. And I'm trusting that.
All right. I've never seen the righteous begging for bread, says the scriptures, right? God always takes care of his kids, and he takes care of his kids well. So I would say to you, beloved, my prayer for you is that you would prosper in all things, that you would be in good health, and even as your soul prospers. So keep studying the word with your wife and loving on her the way you are, and I know that you'll be just fine. All right. Appreciate you having you on the show tonight.
Sir.
All right. Very good. This is Justin Gaynor from Gentleman's Purpose signing off. Want to encourage you, though, one more time to go ahead and go to issuu.com. That's issuu.com / Gentleman's Purpose and get you a 12-month subscription to the e-magazine. You won't be sorry, I promise.